All right, so thank you for coming to our webinar. We like to start with a quote. So this one is from Abraham Lincoln, which we're excited to help you sharpen your legislative axe. And as Patsy said, we're very pleased that you've decided to come and try to get a little bit of orientation before the year gets really going in its full force. All right. So hello, I'm Karen, as previously covered, and Patsy, and Stephen is not here unless he figures out how to get in. Maybe he will, I don't know. But for now, it's just us chickens. Okay. So we're going to start with just a reminder of how to get support. Clearly, you are on top of it, people. And so we hope that you will take full advantage of our support resources to make sure that you have a successful year. Then we'll talk about how you find bills, how you review them once you have found them, how you track them once you decide they're important, how you share them with others if you'd like to spread the word, and then finally, how you can collaborate internally if you have a group of people and you're all working together. So we just want to make sure you know kind of how to get that going as well, especially since those features have all been added into the subscription. So, all right, so let's just dive right in. So first, how can you get help? Obviously, we have a bunch of help resources this webinar, and we will send you an email after this webinar with a recording of this webinar, along with all of the resources we're going to share with you. But you can always reach out to me or Patsy directly. So I am for just general Bill Track 50 issues. Patsy is if you need help with your account or setting any of your searches up. And Stephen is if you have an issue with the data. If something seems kind of wacky, then you should just write to him and he will try to figure out what's gone wrong. Okay, so when you first log into Bill Track 50, you have this right on your home screen. It's the center column or the first column. Please do use these resources. So contact us, drop us a note. We will answer you. You can schedule a one-on-one with us anytime. Plus, we have a newsletter that you can subscribe to, which is a good idea. It's just once a month. Even less in the summer. And we announce new data that's coming up, new features that we've done, and a power user tip of the month. So it's just once a month, some basic stuff, but that way you can see like when we launch new features, which was all about AI last year, and who knows what we'll think of this year. So you can, yeah, that's a great way to stay up with what's going on. All right. We also have our new little chatbot guide. So if you go to the Help Center, just in the menu, there's a help. There's a little place where you can start chatting and you can ask any question you want. We hope you want to ask how to renew your subscription. We'd love to see you back. So you type it in and it'll give you a little place where you can click to say, tell me about renewing my subscription. And then it'll give you actually really helpful stuff. So I know chatbots for most of us are like, that's just annoying, but this one's actually pretty good. So give it a try if you like, but of course you're welcome to reach out to me and Patsy if you prefer the people-centered approach. Yeah, so, but don't forget this is here just in case it's midnight and you're really stuck. Maybe the chatbot can help because it never sleeps. All right, so, and finally, we added a new quick start guide, which is brand new on the website, bunch of tiny little movies showing you how to do the basics. It will show you, again, everything we talk about today, and then the whole entire search situation, which is our Help Center. So you can check out the Help Center as well. Okay, but enough about that. Let's go ahead and start trying to find some bills. So we have some tips for how you can make a good search and find the bills you're after. All right, so you can always do a quick search, and that will look for bills in the current session, but it has limited flexibility. So you can always do that. That's always available for you in that left banner or the little search bar across the top. But if you really want to get at some bills and write a nice search, then you're going to want to create a bill sheet. So I will show you how to create a bill sheet, and then we will attempt to write a query, and then I'll show you how to kind of go back and forth and refine your search. So I'm going to show you the basics, and then the next slide has some quick tips. All right, so let me get our Bill Track 50 going here. So hopefully that came up for everybody. Okay, so here's the help resources mentioned before, and here's the quick search that I just touched on for a second. But let's talk about how you make a new bill sheet. So if you have a lot of bill sheets like I do, then you just click on the bill sheets and that will bring up the screen that shows me all the searches I've done already. If you only have a few, then this will actually show the list of all of your bill sheets, and at the top will be a view all option. And that again will take you to this screen so that you can see all of the stuff you've made. And also, importantly, will show you this new sheet button. All right, so that's how you start a new sheet. Click on that, and then we need to give it a name. So this is a name that means something to us, not that you're searching for. So for example, like I had made one that said doxing or FOIA or whatever. So those aren't going to be my searching terms, but that's just so that I know what this bill sheet is about. So I'm going to do AI example webinar. All right, so I'm just going to give it a name and go ahead and create this. And so it's just that easy to start your new bill sheet. And now I need to pick what states that I want to search. So by default, if you have just one state, it'll have that picked. But otherwise, it'll say, we assume you want to search everything. And it's 52 because it's the states plus Congress plus DC. So you can deselect them all and pick exactly what you want, or you can keep everything in your search or anywhere in between. And United States is how we list Congress. So that's what you check if you want federal bills, or that's what you uncheck if you want to leave out federal bills. And then Washington, D.C. is the D.C. City Council. So those are the extra two that brings us up to 52. All right, so I'm going to leave it with everything selected. Then the next thing I need to do is enter in some search terms. So if I just want all the bills, which I won't for all 52 states, but if I did, let me actually deselect this and say, I'm just interested in, I don't know, who has some bills already? Virginia?
Oh, let's see. California, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota,
Let's do
Wyoming.
California. Good one. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and say text must contain all of, and then I can put my search terms. So this is where I might put artificial intelligence. But if I want to see all the bills in the state, I want to type in the state abbreviation and then say save. And that'll give me everything. So you always have to have a search term if you want it to automatically find bills. But here I'm going to want to say deepfake. And so that's the search term I want to look at. And I chose it has to have all of these words. So if I say deepfake and then I could say election, and that would give me every bill that has all of these words, deepfake and election. So now I can say save. And it's going to go out and get any California bills that are deepfakes. We don't have any yet. So let's say select. All right, so we've got a few bills already about deceptive and fraudulent deepfakes and election communications. All right, so that clearly has my words. All right, so this is the very basics of how you get started. You just type in some words and get going. But let's take a little bit closer look at those query options. So I chose contains all of, but I also have another option here, contains any of. And so this says any of these words. So I could say, I want it to say deceptive or fraudulent or misleading or misinformation. And unfortunately, spelling does count. So let's put a U in that sucker. So I can put in, that's still not right, is it? Anyway, you get the idea. So you put in the words that you want. So both of these have to be in there because I said all of. And then I also said, plus it has to have one of these words, and then it'll pick anything from this list. So now if I say save, it's going to give me only things that have both deepfake and election, and then also mention deceptive or fraudulent. All right, so that is how that can work. Now I can build this up and say, you know what, it has to contain all of deepfake and election. And then I can say, if I put another all of line, now it's going to say all of these or all of these. So I could say deepfake and candidate. So now it's going to give me things that have deepfake and candidate or deepfake and election. So that way I can be a little bit flexible about what I'm searching for. So you can build these up. Now, this might seem a little intimidating, but as you saw, I just say save, see what my results are, see if I'm happy, and then I just go back to the query and edit it and try again. So don't feel intimidated. Get in here and play all you want. And if you put in something that removes all the bills, then you can just take that back out. So I'm going to say, actually, I don't like this candidate one, and I can just remove that and say I don't need that. Um, Other options are near. And so I could say I want deepfake to be near election. And so that will only give it to me if this near only applies to the things on this line. So I'm saying the word deepfake has to be near election, which means within about the same sentence, plus or minus 10 words or so. And so that gives me a much tighter search, which would give me narrower results. So at that point, I don't need this all of. I could just say I want deepfake near election, absolutely implying both these words have to be in there, plus one of these words. So you see how I can build this up. And then the final option is not. So I could say that's all fine, but don't give me the marijuana bills because there's always eventually a marijuana bill in there. So you could just say leave those out, right? So you could always leave out some other topic that's overlapping your results where you don't want those. All right, so that is how you can get started writing a search. Let me go ahead and just leave it with the deepfake. And then just take this out entirely. All right, so what if I'm worried that it's going to be deepfake as 2 words, which seems possible to me? So then I might want to switch to any of, and then I'll say deepfake. It might be that, but then it might be deepfake as 2 words. So the way that I tell it it's 2 words is put quotes around it. So if you have a phrase like minimum wage or deep fake, where it's you want those words in that order, then you just put quotes around it and it'll say, okay, we'll give it to you when those 2 words are there. And it can be as long a phrase as you want. So that is the way that you would search that. If you don't know if it's going to be exactly deep fake or minimum wage, because it might be minimum or living wage. I mean, it won't be. But if you have a phrase like that where it isn't exact, that's where you could use the near. And then you don't put quotes around it. You just say, hey, I just need these 2 or 3 words kind of in the same sentence to count. Another thing that you might want is deep fake or deep fakes. So you're not sure if it's going to be plural. So I could either put in another search term of deep fakes, or I could put a star on here. So the star is our wild card. So that says any ending past this. So maybe it'll be deep faker or deep fakes. Or even if I took the E off, I could do deep faking. So any kind of ending on it past that. So the wildcard only works at the end of the word or the end of the phrase, but it does give me some flexibility to search for like all the different versions of a word. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Okay, so those are all the secrets about the searching. And again, we have lots of help. And again, you can just try it until you're happy. Reach out to us. We're happy to help you write a search. Or you can even just write to us and say, hey, could you look at my search and tell me if I did a good job? So those are the main things you need to know for tackling writing a good query. Now, of course, I glossed over knowing what words you want. So I put in deepfake. I'd heard that. I saw it in the news, whatever. I put that in. But now it's coming up and it's giving me deceptive material or AI in elections or fraudulent impersonation. So I might realize, oh, you know what? Fraudulent impersonation is absolutely something I might want. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that and paste that right into my query and say it could be deepfake, or, and again, that's a phrase, so I'm going to put it in quotes, or fraudulent impersonation. So you could go back and forth and work on your query that way to figure out the words. Another thing you can do is one of our new features. So we also now have a AI function to help figure out, okay, what other bills are you missing because you didn't have quite the right words, or because some states have a new way of saying something. So this button down at the bottom, this similar button, is going to look at your bills, and the AI is going to try to figure out what do these bills all have in common. And once it gets its opinion there, it'll show you bills like this that you haven't already found. So I'm going to go ahead and push that button. And it says, okay, well, maybe you want this deceptive audio or visual media. Um, and this one had deep fakes with the plural at the end of the deep fake. I should have added that star as well. Um, so this gives you some other ideas for ways you might want to modify your search. Or if you do like one of these results, you can use this plus to go ahead and add it straight to your bill sheet and just start tracking it without even changing your query. So this is a great tool to just give yourself confidence you have found all the bills. So you can use it either to help you figure out search terms or to just straight up look for bills that you want to add to your query. Patsy might have other things to add about writing a query. This is obviously the heart of the system, so this is where we're spending the most time today.
Yeah, I think you've covered the basics. So I'll put some points of emphasis on things you already said. You'll notice in the query space, there's no like punctuation, right? She's just writing with spaces, and the quotes, right, are sort of pairing things together. So I see that uh, as a common stumbling block when you're trying to get out of the gate. Um, and then something else that she said, and I just want to re-emphasize, um, when you select more than one condition, so if you had an any of and a none, those things are connected by and. So be cautious, especially if you're applying a none of, as I've seen people miss a bill that might be important because it had a term in the any of and a term in the and. So just, um, not to not use it, but to use it when you're really confident that you can exclude a particular avenue. Aside from that, I think we've covered some good ground. I would just encourage you, especially if you're new to your policy area or you're not sure how they speak of something in legislative language, where we might use different words in the general public speak, to just get started, as Karen had pointed out, and you can just continue to iterate. One trick that I like, if I find something that is serviceable, but I want to continue to explore, is across the top, um, there's the Manage tab. And I will go there and I can make an additional copy of my bill sheet. So if I've landed on something that's okay, but I'm not quite done climbing down the rabbit hole, I can make one to continue kind of working through my sandbox and my exploration. And then finally, if you are somebody who wants to kind of be adding bills to different bill sheets for specific clients, topic areas, or business units, um, I really find the administrative sort of organization of that to be really easy, in having like a baseline, all the bills in the state. And Karen hasn't talked about this yet, so this is a little bit of a preview. But the little plus button in the grid helps you um, sort of copy things and organize things. So in case you were curious about what would be the utility of having a sheet with all of the bills in California, it wouldn't be that you would necessarily have that be your workspace, but it would help you build other bill sheets from there.
Excellent. Yes, let's follow that preview. and talk about these little buttons here. So thank you, Patsy. Um, so once I've got this, it might still be bringing back bills that I don't want. It almost certainly will be. So I've got these results and they're looking pretty good. And I took about the ones that were about, revenge porn and stuff. Um, but maybe I'm still not interested in this one about the disclosure requirements. I mean, I guess I would be, but let's say I'm not. I can X that out and then that removes it from my sheet and then I'm not looking at it anymore. Or let's say I'm extremely interested in this one from California and I want to add it to another sheet for one of my clients or for one of my colleagues, or maybe just a priority sheet for myself. So I can use this little plus and it'll let me add it to any of the other bill sheets I have. And I can immediately see I already have it on my deepfake search, but I also have made myself a bill sheet called key bills. So I could just add it right there and say that's one of the ones that I'm going to keep an eagle eye on. So as Patsy mentioned, you can keep this organized by moving bills around onto other bill sheets. So each bill sheet is just its own list of bills, and it's very easy to take bills from here and kind of categorize them in other places. So you can have one general search that keeps you up to date, and then you can organize them into other lists, which could be clients, it could be narrower topics, it could be people you are assigning to review them, what have you. Okay, so those are the basics of writing a search. Let's take a quick look back at the slides so I don't lose my place too far. Oh, actually, I should probably mention, let's make that big again. Under the query, you can, after you've got your basic search terms, you can then go through and say, you know what, I don't need the resolutions or the memorials, and don't show them to me once they're dead. I could narrow them down to what committee they got referred to. I could only look at one sponsored by a specific person. Or I could override all of this and just type in some bill numbers. So I don't even have to write a search. I could just type in some bill numbers if that's what I'm after. So you can, in fact, filter these results by some further stuff. So that's what the rest of the screen is about. All right, so I'm going to save those changes. And let's move this guy out of the way. All right, so that is searching. Please do feel free to chat any questions or any searches you want us to help with.
Or
All
just
right,
to say hi to me while
or
she's
just to say
talking.
hi. Hi. All right, so looking at finding bills, as we mentioned, quotes for phrases, and Patsy alluded to the fact that that is the most common error that we see is people just forget to put quotes around it. So if you've got minimum wage and you forget the quotes, you're going to get every bill that says minimum and every bill that says wage, which is obviously not going to do you any favors. So just if you've got a phrase, just make sure you got the quotes around it. And if you get huge number of results, don't panic. Go back and look at your search and see maybe you forgot your quotes. And then the star can really help you expand your search without typing in a lot of extra stuff. You just put the star on the end. So if you want pharmaceutical and you're not sure quite what all the different endings are going to be, you can just like pharma star and that'll give you like all kinds of stuff. Okay, then the all of, any of, near, none of, we talked about those and how they work together, and you can experiment with that. Hopefully the labels on the screen will help guide you to how they're all working together. But as Patsy mentioned, it's going to be everything under all of plus whatever you put under any of plus, so they keep narrowing it down. So as you keep adding stuff, it's saying plus it's got to say none of this, plus it's got to have these words. So they keep anding together. And then don't forget about that little similar at the bottom, which will really help you make sure you found the bills. It'll help you reveal the search terms that might be useful to you and so forth. All right, hopefully that was a good review of how to write some queries. And we didn't make it seem too intimidating. Just dive in, get started, and then you can go back and forth till you're happy, or reach out to us if you don't get yourself into a happy place. Okay, so how to review the bills and use your bill sheet to help you keep organized during the year. Any questions about queries before I move on to like managing the bill sheet itself?
No.
Very good. All right, here we go. Um, so the bill sheet actually has a bunch of power, which you can absolutely use to your advantage. Plus, of course, you can click the bill to read, click the bill number to read the bill. Also a key point. All right, so let me grab my bill directory here, make it big again. Okay. So let's say for right now, I'm just interested in what California is doing. So normally I'm tracking the whole country, but for today, for this project, I need just one state. So I can hover over any label. It'll give me these little 3 lines, which gives me my filter. So I could say, just give me things that say CA. And I could say, or maybe I'm also interested in GA. Oh, there aren't any. NY, oh, NJ. And then it'll give me my count down here that I'm looking at 10 out of 18 of my bills. So this is just a quick way to kind of get it down to what you need. You can also click to sort. So let's say that you're interested in the things that have happened most recently. So I can click on the action date and it'll put them in order and say, here's the most recent thing, which you keen eye might notice that's in the future. That's because that is an upcoming hearing that's coming up. I can sort by whatever I want, and I can filter by whatever I want, and I can combine filters and I can combine sorts to get this exactly like I want it. So this is a good way to kind of discover what's going on. Let me clear this out. Another thing that I can do with this is get quick counts of things. So I could say, okay, I'm going to take this state, and there's a little area here that says click to set row groups. So I could say, actually group this by state for me. And then right away, I get a list of the states that are in here and how many bills are in each one. And then I can open it up and look at what is Illinois doing. Similarly, I could say, well, show me where they are in the progress. And it'll say, okay, 5 are introduced, 11 have been sent to committee, 2 have actually made it across. It's like, great. And then I could like combine these and say, okay, so for the ones that are in committee, what states are those? Well, 2 of them are Illinois and so forth. So this is just a great way to kind of get your arms around what's even in here. So the bill sheet is meant to look like an Excel spreadsheet. This is kind of your pivot table, the sorting and filtering, just like Excel. So it's trying to be like what you would be used to if you used to do this by hand. Just make it as easy as possible for you. You can also, as I said, remove bills. And if you change your mind, you can go to this hidden tab, which will let you see everything that you have removed. And you can put it back if you are wrong. But also, it'll show you all your different information. But importantly, it'll let you know when you hit it. I hit it today. And when the last time was it was amended. So you can double check if a bill's been amended since you hit it. Maybe you want to take another look at it. So we try to make that super easy for you here on the hidden tab, just to help you make sure nothing gets by you. So those are some of the things that you can do with the bill sheet that hopefully will be powerful for you. You can also click on a bill if you'd like to read it. Maybe you'd like to see what it does. So let's look at this South Carolina one. All right, so it's got the bill and the state summary, and then we also give you a quick little AI summary so you can see in plain English what it does. Of course, these are AI, so, you know, grain of salt, but they're pretty good. And then the who sponsored it and so forth. You can read the actual text of the bill. You can look at, oh, and then this highlight terms. This could be a lifesaver. So if you got a big fat bill, like this one's pretty short, but if you got a huge bill, this will highlight where your terms are so you know exactly where you need to read. So if only 1 out of 5 sections has your terms, read that section. So hopefully that'll be a time saver. And this will just move you through your bill, highlighting where you should probably be reading. So don't forget that's there. If you're new and you haven't read too many bills yet, that'll be helpful. The bill, the votes, and so forth. And then again, this similar bills is a little bit different. This is going to find bills just exactly like this one bill. So if you have something you care about in your state, you can take a quick look about what other states are doing across the country, just so that you can either get a feel for it, you can see what's passed, you can see what failed, you can read the language, you can share that language with a legislator, and so forth. You can see if it's a trend. You can try to figure out if there's a model bill, etc. So that is reviewing your bills. If you decide that this bill is not relevant, you can go back and exit out. If you decide this
Um,
bill is like actually super relevant and you want to put it on another bill sheet, like I had that priority sheet, then we give you that plus button is here as well. So right from the bill, I could say, oh, this one's super important. I'm going to add it to my extra whatever. So my key bills didn't happen to have South Carolina on it, but I can say, I'm going to add this to my ballot measures that I'm trying to track. So you can always grab it right from here as well and keep it organized. All right, so those are some of the bill sheet functions. Hopefully that was helpful. Anywhere you're in one of these grids, you can sort and you can filter. So that's always a possible thing for you to do. All righty.
Two quick things. When you're in that blue box, Karen showed like if you want to add something, but in that same box, you could hide it from an existing sheet. If you were like, hey, it's more of this than that, or if you wanted to discard it from whatever the sheet was that led you to it. But also, if you're pretty eagle-eyed, you'll notice when she clicks a bill, it becomes a new tab. So you always have your bill sheet in another tab. And so if you prefer, you can kind of be doing this dance, or if you're blessed and you have multiple computer screens, like the bill sheet grid can go in one place and the bills can be on another screen. So you have some flexibility in how you can arrive to the same utility.
Such a great point. Especially that you can remove bills from right here too. So you can like put them in one place and take them out of the other. Very smart to point out. And since we're looking at it, this little sync guy, if you actually have typed in comments, like put a position or written up a summary or whatever, put extra information into your grid, um, then you can say, you know what, go ahead and move this data over to this bill sheet. So that'll copy all the data you've added onto the other bill sheet, just by the way. Because you might have a bill sheet with all your bills and different clients, and you wouldn't necessarily want all the clients to have the same comment. So your comments on the one bill sheet stay on that bill sheet, unless you ask us to copy them over. But you can just copy them over that way. Maybe that was a little
Hmm.
in the weeds. We were looking at it. All right, so if you have your own information you want to add to this as you're reviewing them, then you can add your own columns. So for example, I have this position column. So if I click in this cell, when I double click, it's going to let me enter data. So I can pick from this. For my other column here, it's meant to be a link. So I'm like linking for what I want people to do. Or maybe I have a notes column. Um, so whatever. So whatever columns I've got, it's going to open up the appropriate thing. If I have a date column, if I have a comment column. Now, how you add these columns, this is getting a little into the weeds, but as a new user, you probably should be aware about templates. And so this is where you pick what columns you even want. I'm going to give a quick look at this. So if I go to my templates, I've made a bunch of templates because I get up to all sorts, but you probably just have the default one, or maybe you have made one or two of your own. So if you want to edit your template, you just click this edit. And then this is where you can turn on and off all the different columns we have to offer. So you can look through here and see what seems like it would be useful to you. And if you want to add a position column, just check it on, make it visible, and then that will be available to you in all of the bill sheets you have that use that template. You can also, I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of there. You can also add your own column to put your own notes in. So you can see down here, I put a date in where I reviewed it, or I have this category or my personal notes or notes I mean to do to the public. So you just add your column, pick what kind of column you want, give it a name, say save, and then that will add it to this list, and then you can make it visible in any one of your bill sheets. So that's a quick review of templates. There's lots more help in the Help Center about exactly how to do them, but that's how you can add columns. And then once you have the column,
Yeah.
you just double click in that column to go ahead and add data. Simple as that.
Yeah, so Stacy, you would double click if you're using our position column, but if you make your own kind of following that, um, adding your own text column, it's a double click in a text box.
Okay, so that is all about how to get your bill sheet organized and how to make it work for you. All right, let's see what else we've got as our tips for bill sheets. So those are the basics: sorting and filtering, hiding and unhiding, sorting and filtering. All right. That's good. I did it without even saying it. Pressing the space bar. I'm going to go back and show it again. And then the AI summaries to quickly understand bills. Another good tip. Okay, loving these slides. Okay, so when you open this up, when I click on any row, it gets fat enough to read the entire summary. If I hit space, it makes it small again. So I could just click on another row. Only one row is going to be big at a time. But sometimes I just want to make it small again. Why is it space? Well, we needed something. So that was just what we picked. So that might be one of the least intuitive things about BillTry 50 is to get it to smooch back down. The space bar will make it smooch down. So now you have a little pro tip there. And then also the AI summary, you might want it in your bill sheet so that you can real quick read the plain English language version of the summary, and you might not want it. So that is in the template. You can turn it on, you can turn it off. And then you can put your own column with your own summary, and you can copy this, paste it into your own column, and then edit it to suit your purposes. So this can also be a starting point for your own summary. All right. So those are some of the advanced tips for using your bill
Quick
sheet.
things about that. You can go ahead and move slides. They don't need to visually see it. One is she keeps adjusting the column widths in the display. You can permanently adjust that in that same template screen she arrived at. Okay. And then also in a thing like the AI summary, remember that we have the filters on all of the columns. So if you want to have the AI summary land you at a particular bill, you can use that to your advantage. And then the final thing, selfishly, even 21 bills, I'm not clicking all 21 right away. I use the spacebar tricks and I call it surfing the bills before I start clicking in the numbers. And that's just for my sake to pressure test the results before I go through and individually review every bill.
Yeah. You might be able to tell right from the summary that you don't want it. If you do want it, you might want to go read the actual text. But before you do that, yes, you can definitely go through them, deciding if you want to remove it, right? And then you can read the bill. Yep, very good.
Clear out the brush. Make sure also that my query landed me somewhere on the dartboard.
Righto. All right, so those are some tips for using your bill sheet. Hopefully that was helpful. Let's move on to tracking bills. See that I was a bit ambitious for how quick we would go. We'll speed up. Okay, so if you want to track some of these bills, then you can set up your bill alerts, including alerts of upcoming hearings. So let me just make sure you know where you do that. All right, so I have set up this search. I have removed the bills that aren't relevant. I'm feeling good about it. Every night, it's going to go look if there's new bills that apply and add them. So every morning when I come in, there will be fresh bills. This information here, the action date and the sponsors and all of that, the votes, that updates all day long. So whenever you come in, that is updated. It should be no more than an hour old, assuming that the state websites have updated their data. But as far as adding new bills, we do that for you overnight. We see if there's any new bills and add them automatically. So you don't have to keep running this. This will just keep itself updated. But maybe you would also like an email when we add a bill. So that is this alerts tab. So if you would like to know when a new bill matches your query, you say, send me an email. And this is your email alerts. As I just mentioned, it happens overnight. So you'll just get one email a day in the morning between 4 and 5 Denver time, usually, maybe a little later, depending how many new bills there are for us to process. But you'll get it first thing in the morning. If you also want to know if one of your bills gets a vote, then you can ask for that. or however closely you want to watch it. Um, you see how if you remove the bills you don't care about, then that makes your alerts more relevant. So a little bit of time there can make your sheets better. But you also might want to cherry pick bills onto a key sheet or a priority sheet like I did. And maybe your search sheet, you just say new bill. And then maybe on the ones you've identified as a priority, for those you could say, actually show me more. So these alerts apply to just this one topic. So you can get no alerts for some topics, just new bills for some topics, and maybe just, maybe a lot of stuff for some topics. So you get to decide. Also, importantly, these alerts are only for you. So you can have multiple users in your account. Every subscription comes with unlimited users, so you can share it as much as you want. These alerts are just going to go to you. You're not spamming all your friends. You can share the bill sheet with your friend. We'll talk about that last, but they'll still have to go turn on the alerts. So you set up your own alerts for yourself. And then down here, this event schedule, this is where you say, let me know when these bills are going to be heard in committee. So if I check that box, it's going to add them to my event schedule over here. And maybe you want a second email from us each morning listing the next 7 days worth of hearings. So that's what this will do. This will send you an email with upcoming hearings. So if I save this, I can now go into my event schedule and it'll show me, well, this is for my minimum wage search. So this will show me for the hearings that are coming up. So that's just an easy way to keep track of hearings. All right, so now you're tracking. So that's all there is to that. And you can always go back and change your alerts. So you might want to start a little more and come back and remove them if you're getting too much information. But no matter how many sheets you have or how many boxes you check, one email in the morning. So go ahead and give it a try. You're just going to get one email a day, so you're not going to crush yourself. Okay, tips. So if you ever want to see stuff, I'll show you this in a second. Good tip. Hide the bills you don't want so that your alerts are good. And you can add the hearing schedule to your own calendar. So you can also add it to your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar if you want. Okay, so the first tip was here under alerts. Make this big again. This shows me all my bill sheets, which is why it took a second to come up, and how many new bills there are in each one, and how many new amendments there are, and how many had an action, and how many had a vote, just the one down here, how many sponsors have changed, how many new things have been posted on the state websites. So this just lets me look at a glance across the board, which is pretty handy. And then if I'd like to see what these new things are, I can go to detail and it'll just take me to the grid of like, these are the bills that actually had something happen. So these are your 2 new ones. These are the ones that had sponsor changes. So this is a fast way to survey your entire environment. Pretty handy. So this is just the last day's worth. So every day it refreshes. But if you didn't get a chance to look at your email, or if you just want to get a quick look at how many new bills you had and look at whatever, or if any of them had votes, it's a quick way to scan that. Okay, so I've already lost my train of thought. Add the hearing schedule to your own calendar. We have instructions for that, but you can put it right on your Google Calendar, and then you'll see the hearings right on your calendar. And then as we refresh them all day long, they'll refresh on your calendar all day long. So ask us if you'd like help for that, or look in the Help Center for how to do it. Or ask the chatbot. The chatbot would be happy to walk you through it. Okay, so that is everything you need to know for tracking. Here we go, moving along. Sharing bills. So this was our last and most complicated topic. You can share the bills with yourself, with others, whatever. So let's take a look at the sharing options. You can export, you can make widgets, stakeholder pages, or scorecards. So I'm just going to be very quick on this. So if you're looking at your bill sheet, just want you to know that there's all these export buttons here. So you can export to Excel or to a CSV. And if you have filtered this to just bills in a certain state, or just bills that have passed, or just bills that you support, whatever, because you can filter on your own columns too, then when you export it, it will only be the bills that you have chosen. Same thing, we have our new report feature. So you may not have seen this if you're not. So I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to pick a logo. I'm saying artificial intelligence report. And then I get to pick which template. So I could have just a reporting template. Um, so I've got like this little mini one, and then I can run this, and it's going to make this report. It'll have this title, it'll have this logo on it, and it'll put it out to PDF for me. So that's a nice, quick, easy way to share. So you can share either with your Excel, or you can share it in, and this was my mini one, which is why it only has a little bit of info. But in Excel or on here, it'll have the link. Yeah, so that people can click and go read the bills. Right, so that is how you can get the data out. But you also can put a widget on your website. So you can put this little guy on your website to keep everybody up to date. You can give this little widget to your client so that they can put it on their website, or to a coalition partner so they can put it on their website. So the widgets you can share far and wide. And then there's stakeholder pages, which is a little far to go today, and scorecards. So those are available in your account as well. Let us know if you would like to explore those. Patsy and I are happy to give you a tour. All righty. Oh, and the bill links, if you share the link itself or you share the widget, anybody can click on those. Anybody can read those. They don't have to have a BillTrack50 account. And we don't ask them to sign up or anything. We just take them straight to the bill, give them the bill, and wish them well. So yeah, you can absolutely share that way. And you can share the widgets around with other people too. That's well within what we want you to do. Okay, and then the collaboration is the users. So I'm just going to highlight for you the user management up here. So I've got this manage users option because I am in charge of my account. So if you are the account admin, you can look and see who all's in your account, but you can just add people all you like, and they don't have to have your email address. So these people are Leggy Nation, but I've got people in here who aren't. So you just add them, you just put their name and their email address, say save, and then they'll be able to access your account. They won't be able to see your bill sheets. They'll just be able to make searches and save their own bill sheets. If you want them to see your bill sheets, then you go to bill sheets and say which ones you want them to be able to see. So you say, I want them to be able to see my key bills, only view them, or maybe they should be able to like change the query, or maybe they should be able to actually manage the whole thing. So that's how you can have somebody else see your bill sheets and even let them write comments or even let them add and remove bills. So if they view it, if you give them view permission, then they can at least get alerts and see the bills. So that's nice for sharing with clients that maybe you don't want them removing bills accidentally, but you do want them to be able to see them. So that's how you can share with other people. Add them. That lets them have access to BillTrack50 and make their own searches, and then you can share stuff. But by default, all your stuff is private to you. It doesn't get shared with other people until you come in here and share it on purpose. All right, collaboration tips. In that menu, there's also the permission summary to remind you of what you've shared with people. And then the ability to share is called the security admin. So when you create a user, or later if you go back and edit a user, you can make them a security administrator, and that will let them do the sharing as well. So it's nice if you've got a bunch of people in your account to let at least one other person help you manage the permissions and share stuff, just in case you're gone and somebody wants to share a bill sheet, then that's how you can do that. All right. I think we got through it. So as I mentioned, please reach out to us anytime. Thank you for coming. Any last questions?
I've been engaging with Stacey on chat, but I'll bring this up to the whole group. She was inquiring about, sort of customizing the reports. And so a lot of what we've covered today are like building blocks, right? And so the extent to which you're customizing particular data pieces in a report is built on the foundation of your templates. And so when you go to the column template choices, you notice Karen has a drop down. So she's saying, this is what I want the report to run against. And so, depending on what audience you have, you can customize what data you're delivering to them
And so
by
this one I had set it strong support, and I picked a template that showed position. So where I have filled in position is on my report. So yeah, you get to pick exactly what goes on here, and it can include your own information that you have entered.
you can include whatever you need relative to what you've applied on your various templates. The
And you
common,
can leave out what you don't want to show. So if you have your own personal column, you cannot include that in the
very
report.
commonly, I have people, they keep internal notes amongst their staff that isn't destined for an external report. And so they have an internal and an external template. And that's how you can approach that.
All right. I'm sorry we kept you so long. Thank you for sticking with us. Hopefully this was useful. I know you're busy this time of year, so we're going to go ahead and let you go. You will get an email tomorrow with all the information I promised, and you can reply to that with any additional questions, and we will be happy to help you. Absolutely reach out to us anytime. And good luck with the new sessions. Have a great 2025.
I
Bye.